is there a best model or map for the various stages of the spiritual path, including classical enlightenment and all of its ramifications, the places, the directions that you grow from it? Is there a best model, a best map? It is possible that there is. I don't think anybody has found it yet. Probably what comes to mind for most people when they consider looking at the various models, maps, stages, and so forth that have been developed in the past, probably what comes to most people's mind is, well, which one is the most complete, which one is the deepest, which one is, really tells where it's at, et cetera, et cetera. But for me, when I think about the various models, maps for stages of spiritual unfolding, the first thing that comes to my mind is how poor they all are, actually. None of them is really very good. Now, you might think that that is a very shocking thing, and maybe that's a disturbing thing to hear a teacher like myself say something like that. But actually, I take this as a huge, huge positive. So let me repeat. The disturbing, shocking, upsetting statement that none of the models and none of the paths is very good is, for me, a huge positive. I wonder if you can guess why. Can you guess? I think that there is a lot about enlightenment that is not known and is important. I think that no living teacher knows very much about enlightenment, even the deeply enlightened teachers, and I think that no teacher of the past knew very much about enlightenment. Perhaps. There may be, and probably is, just a lot that could not be known within the limited confines of pre-scientific culture, the pre-scientific view of things. Now that we live in a scientific culture, we can start to look at dimensions of enlightenment that none of the masters of the past could have thought of. And I suspect, although I cannot know for sure, I can conjecture, and I don't think it's an unreasonable conjecture, that we will discover radically innovative dimensions of enlightenment that are very, very important. Assuming there's no catastrophic collapse of human culture for the next many centuries, I think it is highly probable that a vastly improved science and technology of enlightenment will be discovered by humanity. So for now, given that none of us teachers is very good, and that none of our maps are very good, that may take a little bit of the pressure off of you in terms of finding the best teacher and the best map. The best of what's not very good, we have to be humble about that. All of us teachers, no matter what their depth of personal enlightenment, have to be very humble. In science, this is how it works. You make a theory, and it has certain implications. You then do experiments, or you observe and you see, well, did those things that this theory implied happen? If they didn't, then you have to modify or reject the theory. Usually it's not so much a rejecting as an improving process. A really good map of enlightenment would make enlightenment readily available to great masses of human beings. Essentially anyone on the planet with informed consent, who had an idea of what it was and thought they wanted this, should be able to have it if we had a best map and a best technology. The fact that this doesn't happen, to me, indicates that we've got a long way to go, and that's a huge positive. Because if what someone in India discovered 2,500 years ago is the last word, the best, and cannot be dramatically evolved from, then we're really screwed up. We're in bad shape. Now I know the Buddhist tradition says, well, it is the best. It's just that the nature of our impurities is so deep, and we have all this reincarnation, and it takes a gazillion lifetimes, et cetera, et cetera. I would say that could be the case. But to tell you the truth, I don't see any compelling evidence that that is the case. And my gut tells me, as a modern person, a skeptical modern person, my gut tells me that we can do a lot better. And my own teacher, who is very traditional, Sasaki Roshi, has said that each generation of enlightened masters must improve the work of the previous generation. So I don't just come, it's not just an idea that I came upon on my own. And he said science is the model. Science gets better and better. So what's the best map? Well, if you're young enough, maybe you will live to hear about the best map. And that's what gets me up every morning. That's what I live for. What can I do to nourish the soil in which the next lotus of enlightenment for the planet will arise?